I would do babysitting on the side. It was easy money, and believe me, I needed every dollar I could get to help pay off my tuition. I would check apps and certain sites that would tell me how many children and how long they needed a sitter for. On this one site that I was on, I saw an inquiry about 4 children under 10 who only needed to be watched for 2 hours. The pay was $65 an hour. That was a no-brainer to me, and I messaged the parents saying that I would do it. I ended up getting the father's personal number and address. He needed me to be at his house on Saturday at 2 p.m. Saturday came, and I drove over to the address. He was a bit farther than I usually would drive, but since the money was good, I didn't mind. I got out of my car and looked up at the house. I don't want to be mean, but it looked like shit. Trash cans were spilled by the curb. Weeds had grown on the sides and the roof. It just didn't look like a happy home. I went to the front door and knocked. I stood there for quite some time with no answer. I knocked again. Still no answer. I pulled out my phone and texted the dad. I told him that I was at the front door. He texted back right away, saying sorry, he's in the basement with the kids. Come to the side door of the house and use the basement door. I read the text and then got a bit snoopy. I looked into the windows and saw that there were no lights on anywhere inside. It just didn't seem like 4 children lived here. But I didn't judge and knew that families had financial hardships. So I went to the side of the house. I saw the door that he was referring to and opened it. There was a single light at the bottom of the steps. I called down. I heard a man's voice say, "Come on down and meet the kids." I walked slowly down the steps. When I got to the bottom, I saw that I was in some really old basement. But that was it. There was nothing but 4 concrete walls and a hanging light. I was now starting to really regret coming out to take this job. That's when I looked in the very back corner. There was a man hunched over and speaking very softly, almost whispering. I assumed that this was the father, but I haven't seen the kids yet. I took a step back and saw the man turn around and face me. When he did, he revealed that he had been speaking to 4 dolls that were lined up on the wall. They were all naked. Some had missing eyes, missing limbs, but they all looked creepy as hell. The man looked at me and said, "Hello, these are my daughters." I cannot tell you how fast I ran out of there. I shut the side door, bolted to my car, and sped home. Just as my nerves were cooling down, I got a text. It was from that father. It said, "You upset my daughters. Don't ever let me find you." I seriously considered going to the police, but didn't. I still babysit from time to time, but I don't use websites or apps. Referrals only. Stay safe. I was 17 and babysitting my sister and her husband's kids for the night. They were twins, and their names are Connor and Brittany. I always agree to babysit them because they are very well-behaved kids who, for the most part, listen to their elders. So I'm watching them on a Friday night. My sister and her husband will be back around midnight. I let the kids stay up a little later than they should have, but since they were so good, I didn't mind. They shared the same bedroom, and after I tucked them both under the covers and said goodnight, I headed downstairs to make some popcorn and watch a movie. I was in the middle of watching Jaws 2 when Connor entered the living room. I asked him what he's doing out of bed. He had this nervous look on his face and said that there was a man in the backyard. I don't discount when kids come to me with issues, and I treated the situation as if it was true. I told Connor to wait right there while I go and check. I went to the back windows facing the backyard. I flicked on the outside lights and scanned. I didn't see anything at first, but then I did. At the very back of the yard, I saw the silhouette of a man standing there. I found this to be very creepy and strange, but I didn't want to panic in front of Connor. I told him that it was just a neighbor and that he can go back upstairs to bed. He did. I then went around the house and made sure everything was locked. I tried to remain calm and went back to my movie. And I wasn't even 5 minutes back into the movie when there was a knock at the front door. I looked out the window. I couldn't be sure, but I had a strong feeling that whoever was in the backyard was the one knocking. I kept the chain locked on the door and opened it slightly. When I did, the man standing there said that he had lost his dog and he can't find him anywhere. I told him I'm sorry about that, but I haven't seen him. I was about to shut the door, but he put his hand up to stop it. "Please," he said, "can I come inside and see if he's in there? I'm the next door neighbor, Tim." There was no way in hell I was going to let him in. I shoved the door as hard as I could and then locked the bolt. The guy stood out there for a few more minutes and then wandered off into the darkness. My sister came home shortly after that and I told her everything. The truly concerning part was, she said they had no next door neighbor by the name of Tim. In fact, no one in their neighborhood had that name. This was very alarming, and my sister and her husband were upset. They actually ended up making a police report about a suspicious person in the area. As far as I know, nothing has been done. I figured whoever that guy was is long gone by now. Thanks for listening. In 2019, I was babysitting for this family that I had known for years. They had a young daughter, Jessie, who was an absolute sweetheart. This was when I was doing babysitting part-time for extra cash on the side. The night was going good. Jessie and I played games, we drew pictures with our favorite markers, and we even watched a Disney movie. After all that, she was exhausted, and I put her to bed. Also, Jessie was 5 at the time for reference. It was 10 p.m., and her parents weren't going to be home until a little after 11. I decided that I would go upstairs to check on Jessie one last time in her bedroom. When I got to her room, I opened the door. But when I walked in, it was empty. I thought Jessie was goofing around. I checked under the bed, in her closet, and behind the door. She wasn't there. I was starting to get worried when I saw that her bedroom window was wide open. It was cold outside, so this didn't make sense. I went to the window and looked out. I couldn't believe what I saw. Jessie was out in the backyard, but she wasn't alone. I had to squint in the darkness, but she was standing and talking with some man whom I've never seen before. They were at the very edge of the backyard, right where the trees and woods were. I yelled at the top of my lungs. They both looked up and over at me. The man who was with Jessie suddenly darted away into the dark woods. I ran down the stairs and out the back door. I grabbed Jessie by the hand and pulled her back inside. I didn't want to freak her out, so I tried my best to ask in a calm manner, who was that man she was with? She told me his name was Alfie. He had come up to her window saying that he was going to show her a magical world in the woods full of candy and rainbows. When she told me this, I nearly puked. I put her back in her room, made sure the window was locked, went back downstairs and called her parents and the police. Making that phone call to her parents was one of the hardest things ever. Because when you babysit, you are the responsible one, and when things go wrong, it's on you. But her parents were very understanding and didn't blame me at all. It was a long night speaking with the officers and filling out reports. To my knowledge, that guy is still out there. I think I heard they had a suspect, but it turned out not being him. I still babysit Jessie from time to time, and thankfully, nothing like this has happened since.